Today we continue with our Kitzur Shulchan Aruch class, and we start from Sefer Shmiras Haloshon, and the topic is curing the malady. The above lends insight to the verse: one who guards his mouth and tongue guards his soul from tribulation. It's from Mishlei 21:23. So one who guards his mouth and tongue guards his soul from tribulation. Why does the verse stress the negative? That through the Shmiras Haloshon, one soul is saved from tribulation. Why does it not mention the infinite reward of one who avoids forbidden speech? Right, as it says in a well-known verse, which men desire life, who loves days, guard your tongue from evil. Right, it's from Yadayim 34:13. We say it on Shabbos day, right? So it's a good question. Why we start with negative? So about all the guard your mouth and tongue, right? And you're not going to get tribulations. Why? Right? Because I guess the simple question is, some people say, okay, let me not get a reward. Okay, this reward, okay, I cannot hold myself back, so I'm going to speak Lashon Hara. Okay, it's very interesting, but right, but many times when you tell them there is a punishment, there is a punishment, you know what, I better stop. So punishments, as we know, work very good. People understand punishment, people understand loss of money, people understand pain, disappointments, yeah. Okay, so let's see. We may suggest that the first verse alludes to the necessity of the guarding one's tongue at times when he feels that derogatory remark might be in place, and that it's being uttered might even be a mitzvah. So first, they say maybe the explanation is, in the first instance, maybe it's he thinks that he's allowed to talk and maybe even required to talk. Scripture warns us that unless we are absolutely certain that such a remark is called for, meaning, as we said many times, it's for constructive purpose, we should not express it. Following this approach, we will guard our soul from tribulations. There is from divine retribution that will be forthcoming if, in fact, the remark is unwarranted. So Chafetz Chaim says clearly, so if you don't watch over your mouth, guess what? HaShem is going to punish you. Right? He is not politically correct. Conversely, a person who will not exercise the restraint in such situation will ultimately suffer punishment instead of the reward he was anticipated for. Anticipated for what is mistakenly considered a mitzvah. So he thought it's a mitzvah. If I say out loud whatever I was planning to say, I'm going to get reward. But guess what? It was not a mitzvah, and you get in punishment. This concludes the discussion of primary factors in which speaking Lashon Hara is rooted in anger. So we spent, I don't know how many days, right? Baruch HaShem. So we discussed anger, scoffing, arrogance, despair of ability, despair of abiding by the relevant law. Then the person says, I'm so low, so guess what? I'm never going to change. I'm going to continue what I'm doing. I'm going to speak badly about other people, and okay, what can I do? I cannot control myself. These laws are too much for me. Next one, considering speech without rule and regulation in negativity, and saying that is given statement is permissible. Right? Person says, no, I know the laws. This is permissible, and he's going to explain why, even though in fact it's not. When in fact it is not, exactly. One who has been accustomed to speak in Lashon Hara and seeks to cure himself of this severe malady should begin the process by searching within himself to discover which of the above mentioned traits are at the root of his problem. So when we feel a need, sometimes, right, let's say sometimes, we have a need to speak negatively about the other person, and it's not clearly not kosher person, let's say, right? So we have to understand, we have to do self-searching, understand why do we want to speak about that person, why, what like what I'm going to gain, and maybe I have the same issue, right? Maybe I see in that person same issue that I have, right? And that's why it's so obvious to me. Maybe he does not have, but as Rabbi Reuven Shlita says many times, so people people suspect that all other people are as low as they are, right? So if a person is low and he has this deficiency, whatever is it, so he suspects that all other kosher, even kosher people have that. So how could it not have, right? If I have it, for sure everybody has it. He should strive to rid himself of these deficiencies little by little, and supplement them with traits that nature with traits that nurture interpersonal relationship and discourage negative talk. Okay, so we have to work on ourselves. Okay, so we stop here and we continue with Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. And last time we started Sefer 41. By the way, I send all of the links for all of the books that we learn. So this is this is volume 2, Shulchan Aruch, and Sefer Siman 41. And we did only one halacha, and the topic was loss of breaking bread, the Hamotzi blessing. So of course it is not as extensive as we cover in halachas or brachas, but okay, still we have to learn it. So Sif number 2. It is proper to take care not to make any interruption between washing Netilas Yadayim and reciting Hamotzi blessings. So let's say, commentary say, washing the hands for the meal, the law of Netilas Yadayim explained in the previous Siman. Okay, we will learn it. Okay. So no interruption. You went to wash your hands. For example, there are a family of 5-6 people. Let's say you have guests. Doesn't matter, 6 people. So whoever goes first, there is different traditions. Usually the head of the family goes last, right? Because he's going to make the blessing. So or kids go last because they cannot keep quiet. So you do opposite. So adults go first, kids go last. Sometimes you need to direct kids. Well, whatever works for you, right? And so whoever wash their hands have to sit down and keep quiet until we say Hamotzi blessing, right? And try to make this in the interruption as less as possible. So meaning that everybody is ready to go wash their hands. Don't wait for anybody. However, it's permitted to respond with Amen to any blessing that he hears during the time. So Amen is not, in this case, it's not an interruption. Same as it's not an interruption, for example, when we pray, what do we pray? Apsuki de Zimra. Right? So you're allowed to answer Amen. Okay, so in its many instances, Kitzur says clearly to any blessing. But most of the blessings are going to be, as we understand, for Al Netilas Yadayim. Okay, but sometimes, as we were speaking, maybe not last time, the time before that, maybe somebody wants to go to the restroom, right? And he comes out and he say Asher Yosef. So you're allowed to answer Amen to his blessings also. Continue. A delay between drying these hands and reciting Hamotzi blessing of the amount of time that it takes to walk 22 amos, or actually walking from one house to another, even if it is only a short walk, there is less than 22 amos. Also, if one spoke about the things that were not for the purpose of the meal, any of these are considered an interruption and should be avoided between Netilas Yadayim and Hamotzi. Okay, so let's first, let's go back and we're going to see the commentary and try to understand. So now we're talking about how long time we have from drying the hands, right? Why do we say drying of the hands and not saying the blessing? Because after we say blessing, we dry the hands. So that's the proper procedure. You say Al Netilas Yadayim, and then you start drying the hands, and drying the hands is a part of Netilas Yadayim. So when you finish the whole procedure of washing and drying the hands, then the time starts, right? The council starts. Okay, so one more time this piece. A delay between drying of the hands and reciting Hamotzi blessing. Okay, Mishnah Berurah 166.4. Of the amount of time that it takes to walk 22 amos. So 22 amos is not a lot, as we understand. So, and commentaries say approximately 12 seconds. For the length of amma, see Appendix A. So amma, we said approximately. Approximately it's 2 feet. Some say a little more, a little less. So for easy calculation, let's say 2 feet. Right. So we say 12 seconds. This refers even to one who remains in the same place for this amount of time. So it doesn't matter if he is walking anywhere. We care about the amount of time, which is 12 seconds. Okay. So one more time, the whole sentence: delay between drying of the hands and reciting Hamotzi blessing of the amount of time that takes, let's say this 12 seconds, or actually walking from one house to another. So I'm not sure why he would go to one house to another. Maybe outside going. Maybe they're going to eat outside. Even if it's only short walk, for there's less than 22 amos, so maybe like maybe apartment building, they have your neighbor across the hall, right? Also, if one spoke, so it's if he delayed more than 12 seconds, or he spoke about things that are not for the purpose of the meal. He spoke, commentary. Even if he spoke only a small amount, and even if he spoke the words of Torah, right? It's also forbidden. Mishnah Berurah 166.2. Even a prayer on behalf of one's sustenance, which one should recite before one's meal each day. See Mishnah Berurah 166.3. Okay, should be preferably not be said until after reciting Hamotzi blessing, and in the event that it was not said before Netilas Yadayim. See Mishnah Berurah there. Okay. Mishnah Berurah 166.5 writes that when there is no reason to wait, it is best to recite Hamotzi immediately after drying the hands, without any delay. So if you're there, for example, if a person eats alone, so there is no purpose for the delay. Everything is ready. Of course, the bread is on the table. You have knife, you have your salt, you have you just come to the table and cut the piece and eat. Okay, so that's the proper way. So we say any talk is forbidden. Any talk. So even though like we might think like why would this forbidden? Because it's not like I said the blessing, right? I said the blessing and I didn't do the action. I said the blessing or washing of the hands. And I did the action. I wash the hands and I dry them, so I'm ready. So what is the problem? So we're going to say that I'm not sure if we're going to say, but maybe not. So there is a direct connection between the washing of the hands and eating of the bread. It's like 2 parts of the same mitzvah. So you're not, as we said before, you're not allowed to wash to eat the bread unless you wash your hands. So it's like 2 parts of the same mitzvah. So we try not to create any interposition. Okay. So okay. Also, if he spoke about things that are not for the purpose of the meal. So in other words, just and it's very surprising for many people that belong with that you actually allowed to talk. So if you ask where is the knife, where is the bread, where is this, I mean, of course it's not proper. It's proper before you go in to wash your hands. As I said, make sure that there is bread, there is salt, and it's actually working. Like sometimes in the summer, the salt gets what is it? Humidity gets into it. Okay, so you have to unscrew the top and put like manually or put from the box. I mean, do something like in preparation. Don't do everything like after you wash your hands. Okay, so if it's for the purpose of a meal, you actually can talk. I mean, after the fact, there is no problem. Of course, it's not preferable, but you are allowed. So commentary. Interruption for the purpose of the meal, however, for example, if one requires the salt is brought to the table, is not considered interruption. See Orach Chaim 167.6. Okay, so it's not interruption, but I would say from my experience, so if you say you personally say right something some sentence that is actually permitted, there is no problem. So you might provoke others, so others would understand that speaking is allowed, and they will start speaking on different topics. So try not to provoke anybody, so keep quiet. But if needed, as we said, there is no problem. Continue. So one more time the last sentence. So we say also if he spoke about things that are not for the purpose of the meal, so meaning it's interruption, any of these are considered interruption and should be avoided between Netilas Yadayim and Hamotzi. However, after the fact, if he did interrupt during the time, we have no issue with it, and he need not wash again, as long as he did not engage in any activity between the washing of the hands and reciting the blessing, and he did not talk extensively regarding things unrelated to the meal. For if he did so, then it is considered diversion of his attention from his hands, and he is required to wash the second time. Okay, let's see the commentary, and I'm going to explain. There the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch sets out which cases required one to wash again due to the lack of mindfulness. Okay, about the state of the hands. Okay, so let's try to understand what we just said. So even though we said, okay, if he needs, she needs to talk for the matters concerning the meal, okay, no problem. But as we said, try to minimize it as much as possible. But if he did talk on different subjects, right? We said we not required him we not require him to wash again, or he was engaged in some activity, right? So it's only was for a short period of time. But if it took a very long time, so we're afraid that he was not paying attention to the status of his hands. I mean, in the ritual purity status of his hands, and he might have scratched himself like in places that usually cover. Right? It could be like even under one sleeve. That's enough to scratch yourself, or he would scratch his neck, below neck a little. Okay, or under the kippah. So all of these things would require one to wash the hands again. So what we do, there is another strong opinion that says that even if you said something not related to the meal, so you have to wash again, of course without the blessing. And we try to, I mean, if it's not like very big burden on people, so we try and, okay, you said something by accident, so just go and wash your hands just in case, because according to some poskim it's interruption, without blessing, always without blessing, and that's it, and you're ready. Okay. So we finished that. Okay, any questions on what we said?
Yes,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, first, it's a couple questions. We can't see you, so I don't know if you meant to have your video off or on.
Ooh, no, I didn't mean. No, actually my video is on.
Oh, okay, then maybe it's my end. Okay, first question. When we do washing the hands, and everybody says the blessing, does the head of the household still need to say the blessing for washing the hands for everybody, or since they already said it, it's okay?
Everybody have to wash everybody have to say by themselves.
Okay.
First of all, they send it at a different time, right? So for example, your wife took your kids, right, to to wash their hands. So they wash, they say blessing, that they sit down. So, and then somebody else comes, then somebody else, like let's say you have 3 kids. So the first they wash, if they can keep quiet, let's say they can, like few minutes, you do it fast, and then we washes, and the most preferable way, it's not obligation, but it's just preferable way when the head of the family would wash last. Right? Why? Because according to the first part of this halacha, so we said that what did we say? That it should be only 12 seconds interruption, right, between drying of the hands and saying Hamotzi. So in this case, at least in the case of the head of the household, who is in charge, so at least it's going to be in his case everything according to the highest standard. Understand? So it's preferable for him to wash last. But if you need, I don't know, kids cannot keep quiet, and if only 1 minute they can keep quiet, 3 minutes they cannot. So okay, so what can you do? So you wash first, and then let them wash last. Understand? But if everybody good, so it's better for you to wash last. Preferable. One more time, it's not halacha. Okay. Let me ask you, other people have also a problem with my camera, like do not see me? Any issues? Can somebody at least type on?
It shows a picture, Rabbi, of a man holding a fiddle.
Man holding what?
A fiddle, a violin.
Your profile picture.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah, it's
no
not actually
idea.
picking up your video.
1 second. My video is on. 1 second. Let me see. Enable blur. Turn on subtitles. Okay, 1 second. Let me turn it off and on. Okay. I can see you. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm not sure what's going on. So I cannot even.
Rabbi,
It's good?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So on the scratching, let's say you like reach the back of your neck just underneath your collar and you scratch, just right there. When do you have to wash your hands? I mean, can you continue working on your computer or your laptop if you're using something like that?
Oh yeah, yes. Okay, very good question. So only if you want to pray, right? Or you need to say blessing, or what else? Pray, or you want to learn Torah. Even listening to the Torah is also considered learning. So otherwise you can go the whole day. I mean, if you don't, God forbid that we don't learn Torah. So for example, person is learning, as you said, working on a computer, working in a factory. He's a painter, so there is no problem. He's not obligated to watch his hands. You understand?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so it was the second question. Go ahead. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, when we wash the hands, we've read in many places the procedure to do it. Like, okay, you do 3 on the right and 3 on the left, right? Now, as far as raising your hands, do you have to raise up your right hand higher, or do you cover your eyes, or you just put both your hands straight up and say the blessing?
Okay, so first of all, about how many times. So Shulchan Aruch actually said 1 time is enough. And if you see some people do it 1 time, don't rebuke them. That's what Shulchan Aruch says. But also he adds that it's proper also to do it 2nd time. So I do 1 time and 2nd time, and then 1 time and 2nd time. So we're talking about washing before the bread. So that don't get any confusion, right? So, and some people, Kabbalistically, they say let's do it 3 times. Is it necessary? It's not necessary. Is it helping? I don't know. Okay, so but if you learn to do it 3 times, just leave it 3 times, no problem, continue with 3 times. But people who do not wash their hands and they want to start, so let's adopt 2 times is more than enough. That's what Shulchan Aruch said, unless person wants to be a Kabbalist, right? So we wash the 1, 1, 1, 1, right? 2, and then we do like this. So we make sure that water goes everywhere, like between the fingers everywhere. It reaches everywhere. Because if you just, you understand, if you just pour on top, right, on your hand, it just goes on top and then never goes like on the bottom. You understand? So when you wash, you like turn a little hand like around, turn it like clockwise, whatever direction you turn, so the water goes everywhere. That's why it's proper to use a lot of water. What is a lot of water? They say preferably to use the revi'is on each pour. So revi'i, what is revi'i? So it's like on the top standard. I would say, what is a revi'i? Minimum 3 ounces, like 3.1 ounces. Okay, so it's not a lot. If you think about the cup, the regular standard cup, it's way more than enough, even not to the top of this water. Okay, so and then you wipe your hands. Yeah, you shake excess of the water. You put them like up, so the water, the dirty water, will not go and make your hands impure. And then you dry them. You say the blessing and you dry them. That's the procedure. So 1 more time, 2 times, or 3 times. So twice is enough. Somebody wants to do 3 times. There is no problem. Do not confuse anybody. It's very proper not to confuse people. If they learn to do it 3 times, let them do 3 times. There is no problem. Because there is such opinion, right? Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Now, we have guests over that are not Shomer Shabbos. Are they required to do washing of the hands as well?
So absolutely. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They can be whatever. So if you have, for example, one time, like few times, we have a guest over, and this guest brought somebody else, a friend. Of course, we did not invite the friend. We did not know the friend. Whatever, doesn't matter. The friend came, and this friend was not Jewish. So of course, this non-Jew is not required to wash their hands. I mean, if it was a lady, right? So if she wanted, and then she said, "I want it," for whatever reason, okay. So of course, without the blessing, right? She can wash I mean, it's nothing, right? She didn't say any blessing, because in the blessing we said that HaShem actually commanded us to do that. Right? So he commanded us and sanctified us with his mitzvahs. So if non-Jews cannot say that. I mean, they can wash their hands. There is no problem. And with this non-Shomer Shabbos, it's, I mean, just because they violated one mitzvah does not mean that they have to violate another, especially in a house or in an observant house, they have to wash their hands, of course. There is a big problem. I don't know if you know, you're not allowed to give food to people who are not going to, we're talking about Jews, right? Who are not going to say the blessing on this food, before and after, right? Unless the person is starving, he's dying, and it's going to create, I don't know, World War III if you don't feed them. So otherwise, you're not allowed to give them food. Why? Because it's like you put in a stumbling block in front of the blind, right? So, I mean, if he would buy it from supermarket, even on Shabbos, on any other day, that doesn't, it's irrelevant, right? And he bought this piece of bread and he ate. It's his business. But if I gave him a piece of bread, meaning what? For sure he's going to eat this bread. And because of me, he did not wash his hands, and he did not say Hamotzi, and did not say bircas Hamazon. Because of what? Because of me. You understand? So if we have the people like that, if they come to our house, and these people do come to my house, Baruch HaShem, so I say the blessing for them all. So even though, like we said before, it's not, I don't remember when we said, but we said it, it's not proper to include any other people in your blessing unless it is kiddush or hamotzi. But if we eat, I don't know, whatever we eat, for example, we eat a cake, right? We eat cake at the end of the meal, right? So I say mizoina's blessing on this piece of cake, right? But they have to say that themselves. All people who know, but all people who do not know. So I tell, attention, we're going to eat cake now. Everybody stop talking, okay, cake. So I say blessing, now we eat cake, and everybody listen. I mean, people like it. I hope they're going to learn to say on their own, but until they do so, we have to like not allow them to eat even in your house without saying blessing. In this case, you're allowed and obligated to say it for them. So even though you did not want to eat, and you ask, would you like something to drink? They say yeah, and you just finish, I don't know, a big cup of tea. You don't want to drink. It's irrelevant. So you make them tea, and you have to drink a little also to say the blessings. So allow them to drink. You understand? That's the thing with guests. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
So, like say we eat bread, we do bake bread, and he's a non, the guest is a non-Jew, and we say the Hamotzi. Is he allowed to say the guest blessing that's in there for the one blessing?
Good question. Yeah, they can bless you. Of course, they ate your bread. So this very good question. Very good question. So this blessing for people who do not know, just for people who do not know, there is a special blessing for the owner of the house, for a host and hostess, and and it's proper to give the right to say bircas Hamotzi. For example, if it's three people, three grown-up men, right? So it's proper to give the right to lead to a guest. So why? Because he would say out loud the blessing for the house, the blessing, it's beautiful blessings for the host, and everybody answer amen. I mean, who would not like it? I mean, they ate my food for free. Let them at least bless me. What is the problem? You understand? That's a good idea. And of course, non-Jew is he benefited from, or she benefited from your food. Of course, they can say the blessing. There is no problem, right? The blessing also counts. And what else? This blessing, just so you know, I saw this opinion that a wife can say to a husband, and husband can say to a wife. There is no problem. So you pray, for example, there's only you and your wife and your kids, right? So everybody's saying for themselves or father. Sometimes, like in our family, we have tradition. So I say out loud. Okay, everybody of course follow. Everybody have bench. They follow whatever. I mean, okay. So, but I say out loud. That's our tradition. And my wife would say, so she say blessing for me, because that's how it appears in Siddur. I'm going to say, if it's only close family, if it's other guests, I would not say. But if it's close family, so she would say blessing for me, I would say blessing for her. That's amazing. Why don't say all this blessing? Anyway, these blessings are said only in a section that is accustomed to say. So it's not halakhic obligation to say. It's like after you say the three biblical, then rabbinical, and then others like just a custom. I mean, I don't want to minimize the custom. We say every word whatever it says, but since it is custom and there is a piece in there, so you can say that also for your wife, and she can say for you. Absolutely, it's an amazing blessing. Of course, when the guests, you don't want like you bless her, but you don't bless them. Okay, that's too much. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, no problem. So let's continue. So we continue. Very good questions. Baruch HaShem. So whoa, it's very long sieve. Okay, so let's start. One should cut the bread in the choicest part, because this is how because this is show to respect of the blessing. The choicest part is the part of the bread that is the hardest. Okay, since it is there that it's baked thoroughly. Okay, Kitzur now explains how to identify this part of the bread that the most well done. So okay, so they say first of all, when you prepare to do the mitzvah, to say the blessing, so it's proper always to do the blessing on something that is better. For example, I'm planning to eat planning to eat fruits, right? And I have let's say I have apples and I have grapes, right? So it's proper, absolutely proper to say grapes, because the grapes are more and more important, because it's one of the 7 species. So I said the blessing on the grapes, and it should cover the apples also. But if I say the blessing only on apples, it's not so obvious that you're allowed to eat grapes. It's not so obvious, right? Because they are not as important. Meaning, if I had in my mind, I like these apples so much, they're so juicy, and these grapes, I'm not sure, maybe they're a little not ripe, and this and that, maybe they're a little sour, so I want to start with the apples. So in this case, but he had the intention that to include grapes, so after the fact, no problem, the grapes are included. But if he did not have intention, it's very questionable if most of the poskim say do not grapes are not included, right? Just an example, right? So what does it tell you? That we have to say the blessing on the choicest food, and even in the bread. So I mean, if you buy commercial bread, I mean, it's always perfect, so always evenly baked and stuff like that. But even evenly baked, you can find a piece that is like the baked a little deeper that other pieces, right? That's the best. The crust, okay. The thicker the crust is the better. Okay, so how do we do? How do we know which part is better? This is the part of the bread that is opposite to the place where the surface is cracked. Okay, so when it cracked, and what some people do, and what we do in the house, we bake our own bread, and it's there is a thing what the wife does. She does like she takes a razor. So there is a special razor, special holdings, and she makes all of the cuts. So some people like make like it's art, right? I mean, she does not like do it on this level, but some people make like created pictures. Of course, pictures would not be allowed to on Shabbos, but simple one like a cut, so it would be like a baked a little better. So those are allowed, like cuts, right? So and it's cracked. Of course, it's cracked. So you do a little slice with a razor, but it's going to bake very good in that place. It can be concluded that this is where the bread began to bake, right? So right, because it's deeper, because it's cracked there, and hence the part is the most well done. For in the area of the bread where it begins to break, the dough expands and expresses upward. So after like I mean, maybe in commercial bakery, when everything is ideal, maybe this is not going to happen. But in a house, you cannot always like regulate this temperature exactly and put it exactly, everything, all the ingredients exactly. So it's approximate, right? So when it starts from a place, when it starts baking, so it's going to crack on top, right? Express outwards, and the bread is going to, the dough is going to go out from that place until the source's opposite side of this area cracks and pressure is expanding the dough, right? So, and that's why all of these bakers, they make these cuts with a razor. Not all of them, but fancy schmancy ones. Okay, commentary. It should be noted that our breads are not baked as were the breads of the Kitzur discussing. Okay, our breads are more uniformly baked, and thus there is no part of the crust that is thoroughly baked. See Mishnah Berurah 167.3, which states that the care must be taken not to cut the bread where it is burnt. So burnt is not good. Burnt is a low quality. So maybe you leave it over. Don't eat it, right? Don't eat it on Shabbos because it's not food, right? So just it's well baked. As I said, if you don't use this razor, if it's not fancy schmancy bread, so it's in commercial bakery, maybe as the commentators say, maybe you're not going to have this piece. However, the elderly person for whom it is difficult to eat hard bread, right, should cut in soft part of the bread. So of course, you say it's a choice. So some people like the hardest part, but this person, elderly person, they cannot. Since one should not interrupt, even if it's unnecessary delay, caused by cutting the bread between the Hamotzi blessing and eating of the bread. Therefore, before reciting Hamotzi blessing, one should make a small cut around the bread in the shape of a ring. There is a circle in the entire loaf. Okay, so let's read the commentary and we're going to explain. This is primarily cut, made to shorten the time it takes to cut the bread when it concludes the blessing. The reason is the bread is not completely cut before the blessing is so that the blessing can be recited upon the whole loaf. As Kitzur proceeds to explain. Okay, so let's try to understand. So first of all, if we're talking about the Shabbos, so we must have 2 complete loaf for sure, right? And even though it's not Shabbos, it's proper to say the blessing on a complete loaf. Like even if it's smaller, if it's like a dinner roll and you have complete loaf, like a big one, but it's already started, and you have a smaller dinner roll, right? So it's preferable to start to say the blessing on the whole because it's more respect, right? So on one hand, as we said before, you have to start saying Hamotzi as fast as possible after you wash your hands, first of all. And then after you say Hamotzi, as with any other blessings, as we learn in our class of Halachas of Brachas, so right after you say the blessing, you have to start eating. So here, but here we say no, but one second, but we need the whole bread. So in order to find like middle ground between eating the whole bread, between having the whole bread to say blessing on, right, and cut as soon as possible, start eating as soon as possible. So our sages say, okay, make a preliminary cut. Okay, we just mark. It's not cut. They call it cut, but it's not. It's only mark. So they say I should actually go around the whole loaf circle. I mean, I haven't seen people do that. I mean, we just do on top, just a little mark, and then we put the knife aside and then say the blessing. So why are we doing that? So we say we want to do mitzvah as soon as possible. So it would be for millisecond faster for me to cut the bread if I do this mark. So I mean, we try to do the preparation. That's the idea. Okay. However, one must take care not to make a cut too deep. The cut should be made so that if it were whole, the bread per a piece to be cut, it would be connected strongly enough that the rest of the loaf would come up with it. So let's say you want to cut off this piece, let's say whatever piece. So you marked. So as we say, mark meaning like mark literally. So you see the line and that's it. It does not go deep. So but some people do a little too deep. So they say try to pick up. So how do you know it's still whole? Try to hold by the smaller part, whatever you were trying to cut off, and try to lift. So if you can lift the whole loaf, there is no problem. It's whole loaf, even if the cut is deep. But if not, if it's going to break off, so that's a problem. You overdid it. Not good idea. Continue. For if it would not, meaning if it would break, but would but would rather break off with when it lifted in this way, then it is considered to already broken off. Okay, so if you, as we said, if you picked up by this smaller part and the biggest part broke off, so it's like it was broken off. Commentary. Even if one were able to leave the bread by the main part and the piece to be cut would not break, is still considered to be already broken. If when the lifting by the smaller piece, the rest of the loaf would fall off. See Mishnah Berurah 167.6. So Mishnah Berurah, this commentary explained. So the fact that you're going to lift by the bigger part, the small part that you're trying to cut off is going to stay. It does not tell you about anything, right? You must be able to pick it up by the smaller part. So then like the whole pressure is on the bigger part, and see if you actually cut too deep. And for the honor of the blessing, we endeavor, whenever possible, that one should recite Hamotzi blessing while the bread is still whole, right? As we said before. So it's preferred. Of course, on Shabbos you have to do much more efforts to have whole bread, but on a weekday, so if you need this whole loaf, I don't know, you wanna take as a sandwich tomorrow at work, right? So and you're going to eat with other people, so you don't want to take out this bread, the sandwich, when piece is missing, right? So you want to save this roll for tomorrow, so no problem. So you cut off from the loaf that already started. But initially, it's better to do the blessing for a new loaf, right? Every time. So that's why some people they prefer eat pita bread. So they smaller and some portions, right? And they weigh enough for you to have bircas Hamazon if you ate the whole pita. Okay, it's not necessary, but just saying. Continue. After making this initial cut, he should leave the piece connected to the main part of the bread and recite Hamotzi blessing. Of course, we just make a mark, not cut but mark, right? Okay, then we say Hamotzi blessing. So if it's on Shabbos, so you pick up with two hands. So if it's a Friday night, you put the piece, the challah, right, that you're going to cut is actually on the bottom, and the second is on the top, but this one on the bottom is a little closer to you, because that's what you're going to use. But on Shabbos day, it's opposite. So the one that you're going to cut is on top, and same with the third meal on Seudah Shlishis, you have this, the one that you're going to cut is on top. You also need two breads for that meal. Does not have to be breads, as we said, could be rolls, could be matzah, like some second. Okay. But preferably, very, very preferably complete. Okay, one second. Continue. Similarly, when cutting loaf that is not whole, he should not cut the piece off completely before concluding blessing. So, right, so that at the time the blessing, he decided the bread will be larger. Let's read the commentary and we're going to explain. Even though it is not whole loaf, the one should still not cut piece before reciting the blessing, since it shows greater respect for the blessing when it recites a larger piece of the bread. So another thing to consider. Okay, so you have only loaf that you started. There is no problem. Okay, so don't cut completely. So the bigger piece, the more respect. That's it. So respect to the mitzvah that I want to do. So if you have like a leftover, this, I don't know, 6 pieces left over, okay, that's what you have. Okay, you work with what you have. But if you bought a sliced bread, that's of course, what can you do? But if you buy regular bread, not sliced bread, so of course you cut whatever piece you want. So try not to cut extra pieces. So next time you have blessing on a bigger piece. Continue. When cutting the bread for Shabbos meal, here we go, very interesting. Or when cutting for the festival meal, okay, doesn't matter. Shabbos is a festival. Shabbos is a Yom Tov also. He should not cut the loaf at all. There is even initial cut until after the recitation of the blessing, so that the two loaves are completely whole. See below 77:17. So let's see the commentary and we're going to explain. On Shabbos and festival meals must begin with recitation of Hamotzi blessing upon 2 whole loaves of bread. So we said, okay, 2 whole loaves of bread. Okay. In case the need to have whole loaves outweigh the stringency of shortening the cutting time. See Mishnah Berurah. Okay, let's see the second commentary. We're going to explain. So there Kitzur writes that although one should not make the initial cut, it is customary to mark the loaf with a knife so that he will not have to spend time looking for a proper place to cut. So proper place to cut, as we said, proper place meaning that is prepared the best. Okay, today we said maybe if you buy commercial bread it's not so easy, but to find this place, okay, doesn't matter, but we make a little mark, not cut, once again mark. Okay. Because during the week it's not so not so stringent, right? Because we said, okay, it's larger bread, it's already started bread, but a little larger, a little more respect. That's the whole idea, right? But here we say no. Actually, on Shabbos and Yom Tov, these 2 breads represents actually manna, right? On manna. Why is manna? Because on Friday morning, 2 portions of manna fell, right? So and we have for Friday, and of course we cannot prepare food on Shabbos and for Shabbos also. So people, as Moshe Rabbeinu told us in the desert, so cook whatever you cook, whatever you bake, and because tomorrow is Shabbos, so you're not allowed to cook or bake. Okay, so that. In commemoration is 2 portions of manna, so we have 2 loaves of bread. So not on every day, right? All other days we have only 1 portion, but that's why it's very, very important to have these two loaves on on Shabbos and Yom Tov. And Shabbos for 3 meals actually requirement, and but minimum requirement for 2 meals. Minimum of the minimum for 2 meals, but properly for 3 meals. And on Yom Tov only for 2 meals, because on Yom Tov we obligated to eat twice, and that's it. So, if you want to eat 3rd time, usually people overeat on Yom Tov, so it's not good to eat 3rd time. Okay, so continue. When eating during the weekday as well, if he's eating small roll, he should recite the blessing before cutting the bread at all, since there is no significant delay caused by when breaking off the piece of the small roll. Okay, but it's a small roll, it's not small roll. We don't have huge breads. It's like a normal size, maybe pound, 1.5 pound. That's it. So you cut a small roll or this, it's irrelevant. In nowadays. Okay, so I'm not sure. Okay, you have any questions? What we said or we did not say, any topic? Okay, if not, I guess we should stop here, because the next Sefer is very long, so I don't want to start it too long. Okay, so if no questions, we stop here. Tomorrow we continue with Rambam. Okay, so good night then. Thank you.